I'm Father Jim Forson, and I'd like to share with you a few reflections on the Gospel of the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The Gospel is one that we're all familiar with. It's when Jesus is asked the question about paying taxes to Caesar or not, and we all know his answer: give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. And as Americans, when we hear Jesus saying that, it resonates with us strongly because we have that value of the separation of church and state. And so we think of it as, the state is over here, the church is over here, and the two shall never join. Well, that may be true for us, but that is not what Jesus was talking about, and that would have made no sense at all in the time in which he lived, because there was no separation of church and state. When Rome would take over a country, they would wipe out all of the religion of that country and impose Roman faith upon them. They would put their idols, their temples, their gods and goddesses, and everyone had to worship the same. And they did that everywhere they went because, well, one, they didn't want these religions fighting with each other, and the other was it was better to control people that way. So there was no separation of church and state. It was one and the same, except with the Jews. Because the Jews were so obstinate and so stubborn, they refused to accept Roman pagan religion. And they rebelled against it continuously until finally Rome just gave up and allowed the Jews to maintain their faith under Roman control. So Rome would put its imperial Roman eagle on top of their temple just to show them who's boss. And Rome had its soldiers occupying that country just to show them who's boss. And the Israelites hated it because this is the country that God gave to them. And here are all these pagans, these idolaters running the country. And so it just stuck in their craw. So when the Pharisees and the Herodians come to Jesus and they say, do we pay tribute, tax, to Caesar or not? It's a trick question. Because if Jesus says, yes, pay the tax, well, then he is supporting these pagans and this foreign occupying army. But if he says, don't pay the tax, well, then he's inciting rebellion. There's no right answer. It's a trap. So what does Jesus say? He says, show me the coin that is used, the tribute coin. And then they provide for him one. And then he says, whose name and whose image and whose inscription is on this coin? And what would have been on that coin would have been Tiberius Caesar Augustus, son of the divine Augustus, high priest, a god, a graven image which they should not have been carrying with them in the first place, as the first commandment said, you will have no graven images, no false gods before me. But they presented him that coin. And then came his response. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. Or in other words, give to this false god what belongs to false gods. And give to the true God what belongs to the true God. So, what belongs to a false god? Nothing. And what belongs to the true God? Everything. Everything. The true God is the creator of the universe. The true God made this world and all that is in it. The true God holds all being, all life in existence. Everything belongs to the true God, and everything must be given to that true God. Now, we preach that we are made in God's image and likeness. We belong to him. And that means that when we come to church on Sunday, everyone sitting around us, they all belong to God. And we're in our home or at work, what belongs to God? Everyone there, they all belong to God. And I must treat them as God's belongings. I think St. Lawrence Brindisi, a 16th century Catholic saint, put it best when he wrote, "We are made in the image and likeness of God. So you, O Christian, because you are human being, you are God's tribute money, a little coin bearing the image and likeness of the divine emperor. Therefore, with Christ, I ask, whose likeness and inscription is this? Your answer is God's. To which I reply, then why not give God what belongs to him?"